Okay, so today we're going to be talking about hiking ethics. I want to start off by thanking our sponsors, Oboes and REI, um, for helping me to put together these courses for you all and educational classes. And I'm just really thankful to have you all here. Um, Give me one sec as we have some participants in the waiting room and letting everyone in. So, okay, great. So, welcome to everyone who just joined. We're talking about hiking ethics, leave no trace on Recreate Responsibly today. So, um, without further ado, so let's talk a little bit about what leave no trace is. I hope all of you are familiar with this with this program, but if you're not, it's okay. So Leave No Trace is a organization that educates people on how to be outdoors and do it in a responsible way, becoming stewards of the land. They offer tons of education, and they have a free course which I will talk to you about in a little bit here. So let's start off with, I'm just going to double check that there we go, just making sure that I'm on the right screen here. Okay, so let's start talking about a little bit about like some definitions, what front country means versus back country versus off trail, just as we're kind of going through some of the leave no trace principles. So your front country is going to be stuff that you're going to be doing that's more like of a day hike situation where you're on the trail, you get on and then you get off. It's a well-developed trail, usually has facilities, maybe you're at a state park, a national park, etc. Backcountry is going to be more like when you're doing something overnight, you're doing a through hike, backpacking trips. There are no facilities, it's more remote. You're in the wilderness essentially. And then off trail is travel that is, you're not necessarily using designated trails. You might be using your navigation skills to get up to, for example, certain summits. I have been a part of the Sierra Club in the past and have worked on some of their they have these lists of peaks that you essentially hike to, and a lot of that is off trail. You have to navigate. So knowing these definitions as we're talking about leave no trace is really important. Okay, so we're going to talk about the principles, and the first principle of being a steward and also a respectful visitor of the trails is principle one, which is planning ahead and preparing. So what does that mean? That means that you know before you go, meaning you check in to, is this trail open? Maybe you call the ranger station. This is going to be your planning stage. You're going to look up the weather. You're going to know how to pack because you know what the weather conditions are going to be. That this is also going to help you to pack your food and all of the items you're going to take on this hike to be safe out there. So doing your due diligence. Where am I going? How long is the hike? What kind of terrain? What kind of flora and fauna am I going to come across? This is all a big part of being a responsible steward and someone who's going to be using the outdoors in a respectful way. Now, why, right? Why do we need to plan and prepare? Well, this is going to prevent us from having things like calling search and rescue, which can impact services that, maybe someone else really needed that, but because you didn't plan and prepare, you made this phone call. So that's one of the key reasons why it's really important to do this work ahead of time. And I would also suggest that as you're planning your trips, to give yourself some time. Try not to wait until the day of or like the day before, because then you're going to be limited, stressed out. You want to give yourself plenty of time to plan your trips, planning your hikes, and all of that. Also, a big part of Leave No Trace is not using or creating cairns. Those are those stocked rocks. Actually, I had a friend that would always go up to them and she would just like get rid of them with her trekking pole. She just, because you're leaving you can confuse people. I've gone to some places where there's so many cairns, you're like, where am I supposed to go? So don't leave any cairns. Make sure that you're planning, that you have your maps, that you've printed them, that you have them downloaded on your phone, and always, make sure that you have a backup for your phone or any of those devices that you may use extra batteries. Make sure to replace those batteries beforehand when you haven't replaced them in a couple months, or when you're going on a big trip. And having some backup of navigating, okay, whether that's taking map and compass, just always ensuring that you take those steps. Also, this helps you to prepare for the weathers, right? Like weather and conditions. So I know that when I did the John Muir Trail, I knew there was going to be at times where we would potentially have thunder and lightning, and we really needed to know how to deal with those scenarios. And so going online and knowing what to do. Also, this will help you to say, should I go today, or maybe I should postpone this trip? It's okay to postpone trips due to weather hazards. I know right now California is experiencing really massive rains, and a lot of parks like in the OC close when it's rained. So this is why you also want to call ahead, really do your research, make sure the trail is open. Um, Also, something that, there are trails that are super busy, right? And so now, like, you're seeing things like the National Park Service is not allowing people to go without permits. You have to, apply for lotteries, etc. So as you're thinking about going on some of your trips, you may also want to go, times where it's not as busy. Maybe you go early in the morning, later for a sunset hike, etc. So these are all things you're going to find out when you're planning ahead. If you're going to bring groups, please bring smaller groups. Obviously there's times where, like, we host events, and we've been, making sure that we call the parks and check in to see, like, what's the maximum number of participants. But just if you're going to take a group, try to keep it smaller and whenever it's possible. And then, of course, bringing trash bags so that you can pick up things as you're out there, or bring your trash with you. Okay, that's a huge leave no trace principle. So we'll jump into more of that. So principle number 2 is travel and camp on durable surfaces. Now, for 52 hikes, obviously we focus on hiking, but I know for me, as I continued my journey in hiking, I didn't camp before. And um, you know, as I continued to getting outdoors more often, I found that I really wanted to be out in nature like longer. And so I started camping and doing backpacking trips. And a lot of these um, principles are really key to both of these scenarios. So, what does it mean to travel on durable surfaces or camp on durable surfaces? Well, it means that you are staying on designated trails. You're staying off of um, what's called like social trails. Those are little side trails that you see. Usually, like, sometimes it can be confusing. I have had moments where I've accidentally been on a social trail. I didn't even realize it. Accidents happen. It's okay. The best way to ensure you don't go on social trails is to have a map of the park. Anything that's on the map is a designated trail, and that's what they've explained to me. When you see anything that is not showing up on the map, then that means it's maybe it's closed, a trail that's been closed, or it's created. So you want to stay off of those trails whenever possible. Also, when it rains and when there's muddy trails, a lot of people like to go around the muddy areas, but actually they keep saying, and I actually took the class again today. I like to take it every couple years. So I took the class again today, and they were just like reminding you, like, wear good boots that are waterproof, stay in the middle of the trail, because it's actually creating more erosion when you're going around the trails and you're kind of trying to cut away from that. I remember I went for a hike in Colorado with a friend. I think it was called Dollar Lakes. And I just remember that it had rained, and there were so many of these trails that had been created because people were trying to skip the mud, and it doesn't look nice. So please try to stay in the middle of the trail when it's raining or muddy if you're on a trail. Obviously, it goes without saying to try to stay away from stepping on vegetation. That includes like small flowers, trees. Animals use some of this as food. So being mindful of how your impact, can actually not only impact the trails, but the wildlife that really is depending on what is available there for them to eat, etc. So also, like, there are a lot of times that people, so there's something called a switchback, and that's when you're going up, like, let's say you're going up a steep mountain. A lot of times it's this zigzag that happens going all the way down or up. If you want to look up something fun, look up Walter's Wiggles. It is the switchbacks to go up to the Zion, really popular Angel's Landing hike. That just will give you a visualization of what I'm talking about. But anyway, sometimes people will just go straight down and think, oh, I'll just cut through that. It's easier, but you're cutting trail, you're creating erosion, you're creating a new social trail, and also it actually is more, I would say, a pressure and strain on your knees. So just stay on the switchbacks, please. And if you see people cutting, I actually I don't like being a police officer when I'm out there. I mean, I would just, if it feels right, you can always be like, oh, hey, did you know that did you know that by cutting trail this happens? You really have to use your own intuition when you're trying to educate people. I usually try to educate people here in these meetings rather than on the trails, because you just never know. So I'm just going to say, you may see people do it. Please don't follow their guide. Please don't follow them, but do the right thing. Obviously, also when you're hiking, there may be times where you're going to come across signs that are like, even though it may be on all trails, it may actually be private property. So please do not, um, you know, cross any boundary lines. I do remember one time I was doing one of those peaks from the Sierra Peaks, and it was somewhere in San Diego County. And we got to a place where we were on trail, and all of a sudden it said private property. And so we just turned around, because it's just not worth it. You don't want to get into some situation, and yeah, and be aware that those are things that happen sometimes. Some trail may be available on, like I said, all trails or any of those other apps you might be using. Maybe you're using an old book and later on it's no longer available for usage. So please respect any signage that you see. And basically, when you're camping, you want to stay on designated campsites. And usually you can see what it looks like. You'll see that, like, oh, there's vegetation here, but there's this like space here that's full of dirt and looks like people have been camping there. So just try to ensure that instead of creating a campsite, you're finding a good campsite. And that's why they have that quote here that says, good campsites are found, not made. Okay, so continuation of, camping on durable surfaces, and let's talk a little bit more about that. So let me try to make sure that you can see my screen here, my pictures and all the things. Okay, so you want to be on durable surfaces that include rock, gravel, dry grass, and snow. Be aware of living soil. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's something called cryptobiotic soil. And basically what it looks like, it's a lot in a lot of places, it's like dirt. And then all of a sudden you'll notice this like spongy black kind of looking thing on the floor. And so stay away from that. That's actually creating future life, vegetation, etc. And it could take a long time for the soil to recover. Like, it could take 20 plus years. So just be aware, look it up, cryptobiotic soil. When you take the Leave No Trace class, they will actually have a photo of it. I didn't get a chance to put a photo here for you, but just be aware of where you're stepping, where you're putting your campsite, and try to have it be on something that's already established rather than going off trail, etc. Okay, so when you're in areas with water, make sure you're camping at least 200 feet from lakes and streams. That also, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, is really important when you're going to the restroom. But anyways, so make sure you use existing trails and campsites, as I mentioned earlier. And if you're in a big group, try to disperse, especially if you are hiking off trail. Like I said, some of these peaks I was going on at times, that meant like not everyone is following each other behind one another, but rather, people were dispersing more horizontally on and upwards towards a summit we were going for. Try to keep your campsite small and avoid places where impacts are just beginning. So I know when I actually was going to be working on the Colorado Trail with a friend, and there were a lot of people there. And so there was a point where she liked having space for herself, and we wanted to kind of have privacy, but at the end of the night, there were so many people looking for camp areas that we ended up just having to share. Like we had people like right in front of our tent at one point, and that may happen at times. So just trying to be mindful that you're not the only one out there, and other people are trying to, enjoy the outdoors too. Okay, whoops. Let's go to this next one here. So principle number 3 is disposing of your waste properly. And we're going to talk a lot about human waste right now. So when it comes to going outdoors, first and foremost, I want to start with a funny story. And like I said, by the way, feel free to add stuff to the chat as we go along. I'll answer at the end. Um, when I first started hiking and had not backpacked or camped, my first question was, but how do you go outside? How do you shower? I was so scared. Um, there was this fear around going to the restroom outside. So if you have this fear, you are not alone. It's going to be all right. I promise. And you actually end up kind of really liking going outdoors because it's like you feel like you're out in the wild, and I don't know, it's just part of nature. So you're going to survive, I promise. So when you're going to go to the restroom, whatever you're going, number 1 or 2, but specific to number 2 and 1, you're going to go at least 200 feet from any water trails or camps. And that's about 70 adult paces. You're going to want to look for a place that, looks inconspicuous, where other people aren't going to be walking by, etc. Make sure you have a trowel. I use a really lightweight trowel. I forget the brand name right now, but anyway, super lightweight. I have a little, what I call my poop bag. I love talking about my poop bag. It's this little baggie that I have my toilet paper. Sometimes I put, like little wipes in there, hand sanitizer. I have my shovel in there, and I always check that every couple of weeks just to make sure it's fresh. And I have a trash bag in there. So basically, you're going to dig your hole. It's going to be 6 to 8 inches deep, 4 to 6 inches in diameter. And then you're going to do your business. This is mainly for number 2, by the way. When you pee, you don't necessarily have to dig a hole. But anyways, you're going to cover it up, put everything back, disguise it. I actually pack out all my toilet paper. A lot of places are encouraging that. I would actually just say, please pack it all out. Because there's nothing worse than, when you go out and you're seeing toilet paper that has been dug up by animals or through erosion or rain. So just pack it out. I put a Ziploc bag in that little ditty sack, so like you can't see inside of it. And then I just put everything there, and I get home and I trash it. So it's pretty easy, and it's part of Leave No Trace. So again, if you're camping with a larger group, make sure everyone takes turns going to different areas. You're not all going to the same spot. And even though, I double checked this, but Leave No Trace says either you need to dig a really deep hole and put that toilet paper in there. They still say if it's okay, if the area you're in allows for it and you want to do that, go for it. Personally, I'm going to try to protect the land as much as I can. So I'm just going to keep preaching, like, please try to just take it out with you. And same with tampons, ladies, pack them out. If you're using something, like I know a lot of ladies use these there's a device you can use, and you can just empty it out. So that's another option. So you're going to be okay. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it well. Okay. Shameless plug. You're the first to see this. This is the brand new design of the Kula cloth. This is coming out maybe this week, maybe next week. It's actually available now, but I haven't announced it yet. So ladies, if you don't know what a Kula cloth is, this is a wipe. Instead of using toilet paper, you pee, you kind of make sure you semi-dry, and then you take your Kula cloth, you wipe yourself. It's microbial and antibacterial, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but antimicrobial. It has like a silver lining. And then you're done. You snap it onto your pack and you come home, you put it in the wash, let it dry, put it back on your pack. So it's lovely. I am such a huge, like, I've converted. I really love not leaving toilet paper behind. So if you don't have one, be on the lookout because I'm going to announce this in the newsletter. But you're first to know. No one has seen this design, and I had it made for our community. So I'm really excited to share that. Okay, let's go to principle 3, which is continuation of disposing of your waste properly. Okay, so if you're out camping, there's going to be situations where you're going to maybe wash dishes, or maybe you're backpacking, and you're going to have like uneaten leftovers. When it comes to backpacking, you do not leave anything behind. Sorry if you didn't like that lasagna, but you're going to have to pack it out. So one of the best things you can do is obviously test your food out before you go out there, so you don't decide you hate it and then have an extra 3 pounds to carry because there's last night's dinner. So number one, do not leave anything behind. If you're drinking things like coffee, and you're gonna like rinse your stuff out, usually we'll just put water and then you drink it. You don't leave that behind. But for sure, if you're washing dishes, you want to strain it. And when you're camping, and find out where to get rid of your dishwater. Okay, so if you're staying at a designated campsite, there's usually a place to dump this stuff. Otherwise, let's say you're camping somewhere on BLM land, you want to strain everything, put that in your trash bag, and then you want to actually disperse the water all around, not in one spot to make a puddle, but just kind of throw your dishwater around like this. Okay, and make sure to carry everything 200 away from streams or lakes. It was so sad today when I was, doing this Leave No Trace course all over again. They actually changed it up and they added a lot of statistics in there. I couldn't believe they were saying how much water is now contaminated due to, people washing things near the water sources. Maybe it's pee. Sometimes they found a lot of prescription, like traces of prescription drugs, and that's how they knew. They're like, this is coming from pee. So be aware of that. Everything you're doing is impacting that environment, and the animals are also needing to use this water for drinking, etc. So please be very mindful of that. And when using soaps and lotion, even if it says it's biodegradable, it still can affect the water. So what we did on the John Muir Trail is we had a bag, and this bag was called a scrubba, and we were washing our clothes in the bag. I would go to the river, I would grab the scrubba, fill it up with water, and I would actually go rinse myself off. If I was going to rinse with anything, like if I had any, let's say, sunscreen on, or I was going to use soap, I would go away far from the stream and I would wash up there. And then I would only rinse off in lakes and streams, etc., if I was clean and I didn't have any lotion or anything on me. Okay, so just be mindful of that. And think, especially in areas like deserts, think twice about swimming in, creeks and lakes, etc., because animals need that water source. And also, again, going back to like your, repellents, body oils, etc., can contaminate that water source. All right, principle number 4 is leave what you find. And please, that means, like, I know I actually feel really confident that none of you are going to do any of these things, but please don't carve your initials onto a tree. Be mindful of, if you're going to hang your hammocks, that the trees are sturdy enough. Check that it's okay. Also, please don't pick flowers or step on flowers for that matter, especially when we have super blooms and people decide they want to go lay on flowers. Please don't do that. Don't take any items home that, like petrified wood, etc. A lot of parks don't even allow for it. It's illegal. So just be mindful. Um, I know here where I live, sometimes I'll like pick up a rock and I'll just kind of hike with it for a little bit, but I'll like always leave it. So I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying I don't take things home when I'm not allowed to. And I absolutely, occasionally I like hiking with the rock and I will bring it with me. And, you know, uh, but make sure wherever you're hiking that you follow that park's rules. I know that when I've picked up rocks, etc., and hike with them for a little bit, it's somewhere where it's like BLM land and they don't have those kind of rules. So just be mindful of that. Make sure that you don't dig trenches for your tents, or damage any of those fire rings, or build new fire rings if you haven't been allowed or you don't see them there. Please don't do that. And then obviously something that's really important is there's a lot of non-native species that get introduced through our shoes, believe it or not. Like you've been hiking somewhere and you bring back dirt, and that dirt can have little things that can create non-native species issues at some of these other parks. So there are some, I know that there's some places, some parks that you can rub or wipe your shoes off with like a brush. So that's also a really good thing to do, just to think about how those little things that we don't think about could really have a large impact. I believe I was reading today that they spend about 138, don't quote me, it may have been $1 million a year or more. It could have been, I don't think it was billion, but it was definitely up there. It was like $138 million that are spent on trying to clean up issues that happen because of non-native species that get introduced to parks where they weren't before. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about principle number 5, which is minimizing your campfire impacts. So this is more for backpacking, obviously, and camping. So things you can do is bring a stove rather than create a fire to cook your food, and know how to work that stove um, before you get out there, and just be safe and make sure that you only use those approved fuels for your camping stove. And your camping stove will tell you what you can and can't use. Okay, so more to talk about. So if you are going to build a campfire, you need to make sure that it's allowed. Sometimes you do need to also get a permit. I do want to share this. In the Los Angeles forest, you had to get a permit to operate a stove. So make sure that's a part of that know before you go, that you double check, like, am I allowed to have a fire, etc. And if you're going to make a fire, keep it small, never leave it unattended, and make sure that you please extinguish it completely before going to sleep. I believe I read it said do like a soup. I think they called it like a soup campfire, where at the end it's just ash and water, and you can double check that it's all out. Um, if you're going to collect firewood, please make sure that you only collect things that are like dinky, that are broken already on the floor. Do not go and break branches off standing trees. And then if you are bringing firewood, please bring it from the local, store or from the park, because bringing firewood from other places, other states, can create that non-invasive uh, species that we were talking about, or create that kind of issue where you're introducing, could have bugs, all these kinds of things that people don't think about, that we're introducing when we bring firewood from other places. And then make sure you please pack out all your trash. Don't go to this fire and start burning your plastic, etc. That's a no-no. I know these animals out are super cute, and you just want to make sure that you follow principle number 6 with when it comes to wildlife, respecting wildlife. Okay, so making sure you observe animals from a distance. There was today I was doing the course, and they talk about the thumb test. So if you could see it, not if your thumb doesn't cover it, then you're too close. So get far enough that you can cover it with your thumb. That's how you know you're at a good distance. So please just stay away. Don't get too close. Don't touch them. Leave them alone. Also, by touching animals, even if they seem sick, ill, you actually could be creating more issues where the animal won't be taken back by its parents. And you see a lot of this. I've seen a lot of reports of like, man was trying to help this, you know, baby deer or whatever it is. And like now the family won't let the deer back and it died because, you know, the family is like, oh, you've been touched by something that we don't know, you know, they're very scent based. So just stay away. If you need to, you can call the ranger station if you notice something. And then obviously, you know, knowing what to do in case you encounter these animals is a big part of the know before you go preparing accordingly. Okay. Make sure you give these animals plenty of space to do their thing, and that again, that your camp is at least 200 feet away from water sources so that the animals can go there and do their thing, get their water, etc. Actually, I have a fun one. Why don't we talk in the chat about what animals have you come across, or like what's one of your favorite animals you came across on the trail? Okay, so let's continue with this. Obviously, do not feed wildlife. Okay, like there's a big saying at it's at not Yellowstone. It's one of the big Yosemite. Like a fed bear is a dead bear. You know, these animals think they can come up to your campsite, and you know now they have to put the animal down because someone fed it and it thought, hey, it's okay to go to camp and take, you know, take food from the campsite. So please don't ever feed a bear. You can be fined 5,000 or more dollars, and make sure that you're always aware of how to store your food when it comes to backpacking, camping, places like Yosemite. Like I was mentioning, when I did the John Muir Trail, we had to we had bear cans, and they have also bear bins that you can put your food in, and that includes anything that's smelly. You'd even be you would be surprised that even things like lip balm, your sunscreen lotion, your toothpaste, your toothbrush, anything that has a scent, you're going to want to secure that away from, you know, animals. And that also includes your car. That means not leaving these scented items in your car. Okay. um all right, let's keep going. So we're at principle 7, and this is being considerate of other visitors. And I think this one is like one of the most important ones. Um, just knowing how to be a good steward of the land and an awesome visitor, and you know, some rules. Obviously, downhill hikers, if you're going downhill and you see someone coming uphill, please, they have the right of way, so yield to them. They're gonna have a harder time seeing. Also, though, I will say this. When it comes to snow, I let the downhill hiker go first because they could actually slip much easier than I will. So I've just noticed that as I'm hiking more in snow, that I tend to like let the downhill hiker go. Just because, you know, it could be slippery, there could be, you know, it's gravity, right? So hikers yield to equestrians, mountain bikers yield to equestrians and hikers. I know, I already can hear it. People saying, "Oh man, mountain bikers never do that." Yes, that's probably the case, but in reality, they should be yielding to us. Sadly, maybe they haven't taken a leave no trace course. So mountain bikers, if you're watching this, please be mindful of your hikers. Okay, so when it comes to horses, you know, just be careful, step aside, try not to startle them, and let them pass you by. I was surprised with there were a lot of horses on the John Muir Trail, actually. So we had to step aside quite a bit at times. And you know, make sure that if you're going to be listening to music, that you use headphones. Please don't be the person with the loudspeakers on the trail. People are out there trying to enjoy nature, and they don't necessarily come out there to listen to your, you know, music. Also, if you're going to use headphones, think about using something that has some sort of like that you can still hear the ambient sound. We actually had a sponsor in the past Trex Air is the company, and they actually have these earphones that go out into your outside of your ear, so you can actually hear what's happening at all times, and it's like a bone conduction technology that they had. So you still need to be able to listen to what's happening when you're out there. So if I ever don't have my Trex in, I will bring sometimes like one headphone in and one headphone out, just so that I'm aware of what's happening. If you're going to bring your pets, please maintain control of them. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And make sure that when you're taking those breaks, that again, you're on durable surfaces, and that you're being mindful, not being right on trail where others are walking. All right. So great job, everyone. We made it. So, like I said, take the free Leave No Trace 101 course. I'm actually going to put the links in the chat in a little bit. And it was a great course. It's 45 minutes. You get a certificate of completion. Although for some reason today I had a problem and wasn't able to download mine, but that's okay. I know I took the class, and I know you'll take it too. It's great. I could like the amount of knowledge, and they have a lot of educational components to it. So there's a lot of little videos you can watch. I'm actually going to play one in a little bit for you. And there's a lot of workshops that you can do through Leave No Trace. We're also a proud Leave No Trace partner. So that means a part of any of the fees we collect from, merchandise sales, we do pay a fee to be a member of that program. So we do give back in many ways, and we're really proud to be a partner and teach you all how to be out there and be stewards of the land and be responsible hikers. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly go over Recreate Responsibly. You may have heard of this organization. It was kind of started during COVID. They kind of are a lot of the same things as Leave No Trace, but there's just some small differences. So again, know before you go, planning before. Building an inclusive outdoors was a big part of their mission. So that means, like when people are out there, whatever color of skin they have, whatever sex they are, trying to be inclusive. Really, 52, we try to preach be inclusive of all races, colors, backgrounds. We're all just trying to get out there, and we're all trying to find some peace and rest. And it's just you don't want to go somewhere and feel uncomfortable. And I hear that. Like I was watching the video today that was on the Leave No Trace website, which talked about like some cultural things that people feel when they're out there. And so the last thing we want is to, make someone feel uncomfortable. So I find that most hikers are really nice. And I would love for us all who are a part of the 52 hike community to just be kind, you know, um, say hello, and let's make people feel welcome outdoors. So respecting other people, obviously leaving no trace, leaving it better than you found it. So I have something fun that you guys get to hear first as well. Deuter has sent us these amazing trash bags. They're reusable. They're called dirt bags, and sometimes, and actually I carry it on all of my hikes. And sometimes when I'm feeling extra, like I want to, I'm usually pretty good about picking up trash, but sometimes I'm extra like I want to pick up trash today. So like I'll just put that dirt bag on the outside of my bag, and I'll pick up trash as I'm going. And so they just sent us some dirt bags. So sometime in February, I'm going to do some sort of promo that's going to include the bags in orders. So be on the lookout for that. Um, Also, like, remember, take pictures, leave only footprints. Actually, I was talking about this today when I was recording the podcast for the Camino that I'm doing. Is I was talking about all these shrines that are left on the Camino, which both make it charming, but also, people are leaving things behind that eventually becomes trash. And I was just saying, be mindful of, when you're getting out there and you're, you know, um, not leaving things behind, right? Especially on the trails here that are enjoyed by many people. And don't forget that you can make a difference, with packing out your trash, taking other people's trash. I know it's annoying, especially the poop bags. But if you can, and what I do sometimes with the poop bags is I actually bring, if I know I'm going to pick up trash, poop bags in particular, I will bring 2 trash bags, one for the poop bags and one to pick up the poop bags so that I'm not getting my hands dirty. So, it sucks, but please be mindful. Don't leave your doggy bags behind if you're going to take your pal with you out there. All right, fire safety. So if you're gonna have fires, again, making sure that you check beforehand, planning ahead so that find out what's allowed, what isn't allowed, um, making sure that that again, this is all that part of planning ahead. Make sure you stay local. A lot of this information was also from COVID times, so some of their pictures here have a lot more stuff related to COVID, but making sure to leave no trace, all of that good stuff. Same with winter time, winter safety, making sure that you plan ahead. Sometimes trails are closed, the parks are going to close trails, or the highway may be closed to a trail. So making sure to check on that will be really helpful so you don't get there and then are like, oh man, like this, I wish I would have known that. I just drove 2 hours to this trail and now I can't go any further. A really good thing to do beforehand is check conditions, road conditions. You can go to your local, I know in California it was the US dot department, and you can go on their website and just look up like, hey, I'm going on this road and see what the conditions are. Okay, a quick little note on pets. We love our furry pals, and I totally hope that you get to take them out hiking, but make sure to follow those trail rules. There are signs sometimes that say pets are not allowed. There's a reason for that. I talked to a ranger one time about that, and she was like, yeah, because sometimes animal pee smells different than the local animals, and it can actually cause some animals to like disperse. That was one of the reasons, or there's many reasons. Like I said today when I took the course, they talk a little bit more about that. But please be respectful of other hikers and their pets. Keep your animals on leash, please. I have a story. When I was on the Colorado Trail, we ended up having to leave early because my friend got bitten by a dog. And these dogs had been off leash the whole time, and they were not nice dogs. So if you know your dog is not nice, it's okay to take them for a walk, but please keep them on leash. And like let them run free in your home, in your backyard. But it just doesn't like after that, I have to say I'm a lot more cautious about when I see loose animals, and I'm kind of like, is your dog friendly? That was not a fun thing to go through. And I just hope no one else ever has to go through that because it was not a fun situation. So please make sure you give the right of way to the other hikers, and keeping an eye out on your pet, because your animals could brush up against things like poison ivy. Knowing how to treat them, making sure you have like an outdoor first aid kit for your pet. We actually have a link on our website. We had a wonderful community member. I just want to share this. If ever you're like, hey, I feel this would be a great resource, you're always welcome to email me that. She sent me this. She's a veterinarian, and she was like, hey, I noticed there's a lot of dogs on the trail that are injured, and like, people don't think about bringing extra items for their pets, whether it's the little booties or having a little kit for the dog or extra water and food. Just be mindful of all of that. Also remember that there's wildlife out there, and a dog off a leash might, get into a situation. So just there's a reason for all of that. Okay, making sure that you respect your pet's limitations. I know that I have a wiener dog who my son has now, but I've taken him out hiking, and he sometimes would get a little dehydrated, so he would have to take lots of breaks. And really realized he's not meant to be going out at like anything over 70 degrees. Like he just was not a happy dog. So just being aware of your dog, making sure like even if it's really hot out there, like thinking of their paws. We love our pets and we want to take good care of them. So this is really important. Um, so again, don't forget their essential items. Please don't let the pet off the leash unless it's absolutely allowed to. Please don't forget to pick up after your pet. And please don't bring your dog if it's aggressive. Again, I'm sharing with you. I went through this. It was kind of traumatizing. And these dogs were not only being aggressive towards us, not only did they bite my friend, but they were being aggressive to all the other people on the trails. There were kids on the trail. It was very scary. And please, please, if it says don't bring your dog here, please don't do that. Please don't decide that you're, able to, not see that sign or whatnot, because also you could get fined some pretty hefty fines for that. So, okay, that is the presentation. But before I finish today, I want to share this video with you all because I want to share a couple of notes, but I want to share this video with you all. So give me 1 sec. I'm going to make sure my sound is on. I just thought it was such a fun, cute little video today. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to share this with everyone. Give me 1 sec. Share screen. Here we go. Make sure you have have your sound up. And make it full screen. All right, here we go. Come on.
Oh, forgot the bag. Oh, the bag again. No, the bag. The bag. The He's a good dog.
Okay. And one last thing. Okay. So I hope that was entertaining. I have lots of things in the chat. I'm going to just share my last little slide with you all, and I'm going to put all these in your I'll put it in the chat. Next meeting is Wednesday, March 13th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Please put it on your calendar. Tiffany, who is our leader, she's our 52 Hike Challenge leadership manager, will be talking about hiking with chronic illness. Okay. So if that speaks to you, please come. She's going to talk all about that and her experience with that. I did share with you, you're first to know and see our newest Kula cloth. I'll put that link in the website, and you can actually, I believe, order that now. I will announce that publicly to everyone soon as well. You can take the Leave No Trace course for free. I will put the link there. Very informational, lots of great resources. So please take it. It takes about an hour. So I was eating lunch today and I was just going through it again. I like going through it every couple of years. It's just nice. It's a nice refresher for me. And if you don't know, we have a program that we're just in the process of launching right now. It's going to start March 1st. It's the Over 50 Outside 2024 program. And anyone over 50 is welcome to join. You get a community of women your age. You get to connect with others. And I believe we're going to have a retreat again this year. So yeah, so that's kind of it for me. Let's go through some questions here. Any notes that we want to add here? All right, let's see. And Susan said, I've heard that there are so many people now doing their business outside that they are recommending packing everything out now and not to dig holes. Correct. Well, yes and no. It depends on the park. You can still dig holes in places, but there are some parks that require you to use what's called a wag bag. When I did let's see, what's the highest peak? Mount Whitney. There we go. See, I've done so many things now. I'm like, I forget names. But anyways, Mount Whitney, we had to bring a wag bag. So you had to also when I did the Grand Tetons, but you have to poop in this bag and carry it out with you. I know it sounds so gross. It was one of the most like scary, traumatizing things, but you do what you got to do. I'm sure no one likes carrying their poop out, but you have to do it. You got to do it. So that's a part of that finding out beforehand, right? Like looking into it and finding out what you need to do. Sometimes they'll give you the bag when you go pick up your permits. Other times you need to bring the bag with you. Okay. Let's see. They live near me. I think you're talking about Kula Cloth, Janae, probably. Okay, love the design. Thanks, Sherry. I'm going to share a little story about that in the newsletter when I send it out. Menstrual cups. Yes, sorry, you all. I'm a little spoiled. I not going to get into it, but I haven't had to use one of these cups. So, but a lot of women that I talk to say it's changed their lives. The nice thing about it is you can pour it into your bowl if you're allowed. And so, yes. So, let's see. Amory, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, but she said the menstrual cup changed her life, and it's biodegradable, dehydrated, and she uses a biodegradable hydrated wipe that she can hydrate. It's more efficient and less waste. Awesome. See, there's always where there's a will, there's a way. Um, oh, okay. So Amory, I'm not sure. You can unmute yourself if you want to let me know how to say your name. But she loved seeing baby quails with the babies.
Hey,
Hi,
it's
how do I say
Amory.
Amory? It's a beautiful name, by
Yeah,
the way.
it's
Thank
very
you for
different.
sharing.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's very beautiful. Amory. I love it. Jennifer
Thanks.
says she loved seeing moose and bighorn sheep. Awesome. And then Sherry said, yes, that never happens with mountain bikers on the trails at her local state park. Yeah, I mean, I've heard this from a lot of people. So that's how I was like, I already hear it. It's coming. Okay, what was the link for the other workshops? This is okay. So remind me, what workshops are you talking about? The Leave No Trace course? And I'm gonna put the links in the chat in a few minutes. And would I wear gloves when picking up trash? I have worn gloves before. I actually have in the past, I bought these biodegradable doggy poop bags, and those kind of worked as my glove when I've done it before. So that's one way I've done it. But yes, you're welcome to bring gloves. Just remember to dispose of them properly. And ideally, I mean, if you have I've been trying to think about how to be less wasteful, right? And so like plastics and all that. So if there's a way that maybe it's a gloves that you can wash when you get home, like maybe they're the thicker gloves or something like that, just trying to be more mindful instead of using like the doctor's gloves that you can throw away. Just we're creating so much waste in the world. And again, going back to watching the video today and the training, they were talking about not only being mindful on the trails, but at home, like thinking of what can we reuse? How can we minimize our footprint and all of that? So, and vice versa. Please don't approach or touch dogs on leash without asking. Yeah, I mean that's true. Totally true. And the video is skipping. Can you please post the link for the 101 course? Yes, I will get it on there. And Terry wants to know what footwear and socks I wore for the Camino. Okay, yes, absolutely. So I wore Darn Tough socks. I just bought a bunch of new pairs for the Kilimanjaro because I'm taking a group up to Kilimanjaro. And we leave actually less than 2 weeks from now. So I needed new socks. Make sure that when you're thinking about your socks, that the foot, the part that goes behind your heel has plenty of cushioning, because that's the part that rubs the quickest. The nice thing about Darn Tough socks is they have a really good warranty. They have like a lifetime warranty, so they're great socks. I love them. I got them medium cushioning, but depending on what you're doing, I would say medium is fine for the Camino. I did give a lot of tips today. So funny, I just did this. I just recorded the podcast on it, and something that was really nice, and this is for anyone doing a through hike, or I brought my sandals. I wear Tiva sandals because they kind of pack really flat, and I would take them out during breaks, and I would take my shoes off. Sometimes I would take my socks off, sometimes I wouldn't, and then I would let my feet rest during the breaks, and that was really helpful. Don't forget to start learning some foot stretches you can do. Some on the Camino, man, I had to stop so many times and like do the figure four thing. I don't think I can do it right now, but basically like I would kind of like stand up and do a figure four so I could kind of stretch my hips out. It is tiring. So know your stretches, before you go. And as far as footwear, I my mom and I did this together. So we both got Oboz catabatics. I got the mid-level. So they're more like of a trail runner type. It was nice because they were really comfortable and flexible. They were waterproof because we did have rain. And my mom loved her shoes. She like had no problems with them. Make sure to get fitted. And I saw a lot of people wearing like thicker boots. The number one thing on the Camino that I saw, and I had to help multiple people, were blisters. A lot of people, the first thing you want to do, you feel a hot spot, please, please, please take care of it right away. I actually myself have been breaking in shoes, and I had a blister just the other day. And so it started, I took care of it. I guess I waited too long. And then the next week I went in my other shoes and the blister was coming back up. So again, I stopped. I recommend highly the Luca tape, because a lot of the blister band-aids, they fall off and the Luca tape stays on, but the good and bad thing about the Luca tape is it's really, 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 really sticky. It stays on all day, but then when you have to pull it off, just make sure to put water on it and let it like so that you're not pulling your blister off along with the tape. But it's honestly like when I was on the John Muir Trail, like that tape would stay on for weeks. And I see Jennifer, she's like, I feel like Jennifer, you have a lot of experience because I keep seeing you go like, I know that, I know that. Um, I hope that was helpful, Terry. But yeah, whatever you do with your footwear, make sure to rake your shoes in for like a month. That was one of the top tips I said. Please, I saw so many people on the Camino having foot problems. It made me so sad. That's why I was like, this podcast is going to be specific to the Camino, because if I can help one person to have a better Camino, then I was like, I have the capability to be of service. And make sure to bring ointment for your, if in case you do get blisters. Make sure to let your feet rest, and wear good socks that fit you properly. All right, let's see.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Okay, someone said, I'm interested in joining the over 50 outside group. Can I do that group at the same time as the challenge? Yes, you can. Typically we ask the women to, start their hikes together, but it's okay. Like I think this year, because we're opening it up to everyone, the challenge for the over 50 starts in March. If you've already started your challenge, that's fine. Go for it and keep counting from wherever you started. Sherry is a leader, by the way, so she's a really great resource. She's one of the leaders for the overall 52 hike challenge. So she's going to be in that group. So you can always reach out to Sherry as well if you have questions. And Terry did it last year, the over 50 outside program. And yeah, so it's been really lovely. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me give you. Okay, someone wrote a quick note for women. There's a Kulo Clean other bidet options. Yes, that's another way of keeping clean out there. I did see that today when I was on the Kula Cloth website. So let me put those links in here for you. I know we've gone over just a few minutes. And let me put the links in there for you. I'm just going to put them all in there and the notes for the next meeting. There's going to be a lot of links in there. So it just says, you know, when the next meeting is, where the Kula Cloth link is, the Leave No Trace course, and the Over 50 Outside page. Feel free to share that Over 50 Outside page with any women that you think could benefit from that. And we just appreciate your support. And I'm going to stay on just for a few more minutes. If you have any other questions, or suggestions or anything, like I said, I mentioned our next meeting, we're going to have the leader, our leadership manager is going to host that. I'm not sure what my schedule is going to be like since I'm going to be traveling in Africa, but I'll try to make whatever I can. If not, someone from 52 will be at all of the meetings. So don't worry about that. And if you are all got your links, then I guess I'll see you at the next meeting. And I hope you all have a wonderful month of hiking and that you're staying inspired and motivated. And yeah, it was really nice to share this time with you all today. And I'm just grateful to be a part of this community.
Thank you.
Thank you.